Hi, welcome to the video Java Database Connectivity or JDBC CRUD tutorial with me Nam Aming from codejava.net. In this video tutorial, you will learn how to write Java code to connect to a relational database such as MySQL to perform CRUD operations, create, retrieve, update and delete. In other words, if we write Java code to execute SQL statements, insert, select, update, and delete. Before following this video tutorial, make sure that you have the following software programs installed on your computer: Java Development Kit JDK version 8 or newer, Eclipse IDE, MySQL Community Server, MySQL Workbench. And for the MySQL JDBC driver, I will show you how to download this JDBC driver later. And you need to go to this website dev.mysql.com to download and install MySQL Community Server and MySQL Workbench. This is the homepage of the MySQL for developers. You can download the MySQL Community Server here. Download here. MySQL Community Edition here. You see. Here you can download MySQL Community Server and MySQL Workbench, a graphical user interface to manage MySQL databases. So make sure that you have these software programs installed on your computer first. Next, let's create a new database in MySQL database server. This here MySQL Workbench program, and I connect to the server on localhost here. Okay, I'm connected to the MySQL database server, and now let's create a new database or new schema in this menu. Yeah, create a new schema and enter the new schema name is SampleDB. Click apply button here. Apply. Finished. Okay. And you can see the newly created database schema appear here without any tables. So now let's create a table. The table name is users with the following fields: user underscore ID, username, password, full name, and email. A very typical users table. So right click here, create table, and enter the table name is users. The first column is a primary column, which is user underscore ID. Data type is integer. Uncheck the option PK of primary key and not null. And note that you need to check the option AEI or auto incremental. So the values of this primary key is generated by the database. So check here. And the second column is let's see, username, password, full name, email. Username Raja 45 is the length of the data type, password, Raja, um, email. Let's see, full name and email. So this is full name, and the last field is email. The length of all of the Raja fields are 45, and other fields are required or not known. Okay, so check as a not known column here for all the fields. Sorry, delete this column. Delete. Okay, and click the apply button here. Apply. Apply. Finish. And you can see the newly created table user appears here with the columns or fields user underscore ID, the primary key, username, password, full name, and email. Right click here on the table name, select rows, and you can see the data in the table is now empty. Okay, and in the next few minutes we will write Java code, Java program to insert data to this table. And now let's create a new Java project in Eclipse IDE. This is my Eclipse IDE. Now create a new Java project. Find new Java project here. Java project. Next. Enter the project name is, for example, users manager. As you can see, I use Java 8 or Java SE 1.8 here. And click next. Finish. Open the Java perspective. Okay, here we go. The new project user manager got created here. And create a new Java class. First, I need to create a new Java package. My package name is net.codejava. Finished. And you can see the newly created package appears here. And now I need create a new Java class. The class name is users manager. Check this option to create the main method, so we can run this program. Okay, click finish, and you see we have the users manager class created here. And now we are going to write Java code to connect to the database. Yeah, and to connect to a database in Java, we need to specify a JDBC URL, something like this, in this format. For example, for MySQL, we need to specify this URL JDBC MySQL //c localhost is a name of the server, and 3306 is the port number of the MySQL database server. Port number of the database server / and ShampooDB is the name of the database on the server. And besides the JDBC URL, we also need to specify the username of the database and the password of the user to connect to the database. And now let's go back to our Eclipse IDE in the users manager class, and now let's write code to connect to the database. And first, we need to define the JDBC URL. JDBC URL is JDBC colon MySQL colon // localhost colon port number 306 / and the name of the database SampleDB. This name, database name should match the name in the database. Here you can see SampleDB here. Here you see. And next we need to specify username is on my computer is root, and the password of the root user on my computer is simply password. You need to change the username and password accordingly to the setting on the MySQL server. And we need to use a driver manager class in java.sql.package here to get a connection to the database. Get connection, and with three arguments: JDBC URL, username, and password. And this method return a new connection object. So we assign a new connection object here. Connection equal. Okay. We got this error unhandled exception, type SQL exception. So we need to wrap this code inside a try catch block. Try catch SQL exception. And if the exception occur, we just print the exception stack chase. Okay. And we can check if the connection is successful, connected to the server or not. If connection not no, and we can print something to the system standard output. For example, connected to the database, and then we close the connection to exit from the database. Okay, this is to connect to the database. Now let's run this program to see the output. Click the run button here. Run as Java application, and you can see we got error here. Java.sql.sql exception, no suitable driver found for JDBC MySQL. So that means there's no JDBC driver for MySQL database. So to fix this error, we need to download JDBC driver for MySQL and go to MySQL developer website here, and you can see MySQL connectors here. Click download. And for Java, we download the connector /J here. Select operating system. Choose platform independent. I choose to download the zip archive. So I click the download button here. Download. Just click no thanks. Yeah. To download. Okay. Save the MySQL connector Java file on my computer. Java, my project, users manager here. Save. Okay. And show in folder. Okay. It's a little bit slow to download. No problem. And you can see the MySQL connector Java zip file got downloaded here and extract to MySQL connector Java here. Okay, and inside this you can see there's a jar file here, and we need to add this jar file to the project class part. So go back to our project. Right click here, properties, and in the project properties dialog here, click Java view path, and under the library, add external jar button, and choose a MySQL connector Java file. Java users manager here, MySQL connector here. Yeah, this is a MySQL JDBC driver for Java. So choose this file, click open. Okay, click apply and close button here. Okay, now let's run this users manager program again. User manager, and now you can see the message connected to the database appears in the console view. That means our program is successfully connected to the database. So that's how to connect to a relational database using JDBC. You need to create a connection object from the driver manager, specify the JDBC URL, username, and password. Next, we will write code to insert some data into the database. In other words, we will write code to execute the SQL insert statement like this: insert into users, username, password, full name, email, values. So suppose that you have basic understanding about SQL statements. Okay, go back to our Eclipse IDE. You can delete this code that checks the connection. Okay, now write the SQL statement. String SQL equal insert into the table name is users, values, and the list of columns. Username, email, full name. Now let's see the fields columns in the database: full name, username, password, email, username, email, full name, and password. Note that we don't specify the user underscore ID field because uh, this is the primary column whose values are generated automatically by the database server. And values, the values, actual values for the columns. For example, the username is nam hm, email is nam@codejava.net, full name is nam min, and password is MySQL. Okay, this is a SQL Insert statement to insert a new row into the users table with these values. And to execute this SQL statement, we need to create a statement object statement from the connection. Create statement and call statement execute query passing the SQL string. And this method return an integer number, indicates the number of rows affected in the database. So we assign the return value in rows equal statement execute. Sorry, we need to execute, call the execute update method that takes the SQL statement. Okay, and we check the return values. If row greater than 0, that means a new row has been inserted successfully into the database. So we print the successful message to the system standard output. A new user has been inserted successfully. Okay, now before running this program, and let's check the database. Here, you can execute the select statement here in MySQL Workbench. And you see the table is empty. And now let's run the program. User manager. And we got an exception here. Let's see. Okay, so the SQL statement is wrong. So I need to fix the SQL statement here. Username, email, full name, and password. Email, password, and let's see the error. Okay, need to delete the values here. Okay, sorry, very sorry. So this is the correct SQL statement. And now let's run the program again. Run as Java application. And you see the message printed, a new user has been inserted successfully. Now let's check in the database here. Execute. And you see a new row has been inserted into this table. You can see username nam hm, password MySQL, full name nam min, and email nam@codejava.net. Okay, so far so good. So this SQL statement hard-coded values for the columns. What if the values must be dynamic? So in that case, we need to modify this SQL statement with parameterize parameters like this. We use a question mark to indicate the value for the column, not hard-coded values. So we insert values for 4 columns here: username, email, full name, and password. So we specify 4 question marks here, and we need to change the statement to prepare statement. Prepare statement here, and call the method prepare statement from the connection prepare statement SQL, and set the dynamic values for this SQL statement like this. Statement set if the type of the column is string, use the set string method, and the parameter index starts from 1. So this set value for the first column username. For example, dynamic value of username here, string name, zone do, full name zone do, username. We need to change this username to DB username. DB username to differentiate with the column username. So here username is zone do. Email is zone do at gmail.com. We also need to change the password here to DB password to differentiate with the few password in the table users. And password is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay. In practice, these dynamic values can come from the user's input, and value is username. And similarly, you can set a value for the second column, which is also of type string here, is at the index to email. And you can see there are many setters of the prepare statement here: set int, set boolean, set long, set big decimal. So according to the type of the column, you use the proper setter method. You see here in the user table we have only columns of type string, so we use the set string method. So we can copy paste. The third parameter is full name, and the last parameter is password. Okay, and cause execute update without passing the SQL string, because the SQL string already here. Okay, now let's run this program again. See, the message, a new user has been inserted successfully, and let's check in the database here. Execute the select statement again here in the MySQL workbench, and you see the second row has been inserted here, Zondo. Very good, right? So that's basically how to create data, how to insert data into the database with JDBC. You create SQL statement with dynamic parameters, and create a statement object and set the values for the columns or parameters, and call the execute update method and check the result, the affected rows, and finally close the correction. Next, you will learn how to retrieve data from the database by executing SQL select statement. For example, select all from users. As you can see in MySQL workbench, the SQL statement here, we execute this SQL statement to get all rows from the users table. And now let's see how to execute this select statement in Java code, and how to get the values of the result, extract the information from the result in Java code. Okay. Okay, let's delete this code and update the SQL statement to select asterisk, meaning all rows from table users. Okay. And for this type of SQL statement that returns collection of value, we create a normal statement object, statement equal connection, create statement, and we call the execute query method here of the statement object, passing the SQL statement, and this method returns a result set. So we assign the return value to a result set object, result set result, and we can check if this result set contains data or not. My check if result next, that means the result contains next rows, because there can be many rows returned, so we can use the while loop to iterate each row in the database. in the result set like this, and we can get a value for each column in the table like this. The first column is username equal result red, because the column username is of type varchar, so we need to use the red string method, and you can specify the column index or the column name. For example, in the database, the username column at the index 2, so we need to specify 2 here, 2 here. We need to delete this code. Okay, and for testing purpose, we just print the value of this username. Okay, let's run this program, and then we update the code. Users manager, and you see it prints name, SM, and Jondo, which are the two users in the database here. You see, so we have been successfully retrieved data from the database. And you can use the second overload of the getString method that takes the column name, for example username. So this is more convenient than using the index of the column. Okay, so now let's read the user ID. User ID is of type integer, so we use integer type here. User ID equal result where int column name is user ID, and we can copy paste this statement to get the values of other columns. Full name, email, and password, and print all these column values. Username, full name, email, password, and the first is the user ID. User ID. Okay, let's run this program again to see the result. And you see it prints all the values of the columns in the table users. The first row is name SM, name Haming. The second row Jondo. So far so good, right? So that's how to write Java code to retrieve data from the database by executing the SQL select statement, and the return the result set. So you use a while loop to iterate through each row in the result, and for each row we can get the values of individual columns here. Get in, get change. Okay, so that's how to retrieve data from the database with JDBC. Next, you will learn how to update data in the database by executing SQL statement in Java code JDBC. This is the SQL update statement that update the password, full name, and email for the user that has a specific username. Now let's update our code. Delete this and update the SQL statement. Update user set. Let's see, password, full name, email. Yes, password. For example, I want to update the password of the user name SM. Password is oh la la, where username equal name SM. As you can see here, username name SM. The current password is MySQL, and now I want to change the password to Olala. Here we see the update SQL statement with hard-coded values. Okay, and create a statement object. Statement equal connection. Create a statement, and we call the execute update method of the statement object. Execute update SQL, and this method return an integer value indicating the number of affected rows. So we assign the return value integer rows equal, and we check the value of the rows greater than 0. That means one or more rows has been updated, and print a message to the output. Yeah, updated. The user information has been updated. Now let's run this program, and you see the message printed as the user's information has been updated. Now let's check the database by refresh, execute the select SQL statement again, and you see the password for the username STM now changed to Olala. Okay, very good, right? You see this SQL statement uses hard-coded values, and what if the values are dynamic? So in that case, we need to use prepare statement. So that change hard-coded value by place a question mark here in the SQL statement, and instead of the statement object, we create a prepare statement object. Prepare statement SQL, and we set the values for the parameters here. Statement set because the password is a type varchar or string, so we call set string. The parameter index is 1, and the value for password here, password equal. Now I want to update the SQL update statement to set password, full name, and email. Password, full name, email, full name, email. Password is Java guy. Full name is zone gym, for example. Email is zonegym@gmail.com. Okay, and value here is password. We update the SQL statement to set password. Full name equal question mark. Email equal question mark. Okay. And similarly, set a value for the second parameter is full name, and the value for the third parameter is password. And then call the execute update method without passing the SQL statement, because the SQL statement is already passed to create the prepared statement object here, and the return result is the same. Okay. Now let's run this program again. Sorry, this is email. Sorry, the last parameter is username. Is a condition for the update statement. Username equal zondo. Username zondo here. You see password 123456789. Full name zondo. Email zondo. And now let's run this program to update the information of that user. We got an exception here. No value specified the parameter for. Sorry, we need to specify the value for the parameter username here, because we have the condition in the where clause here. Username. Now let's run this program again. Let's see, now it prints the user's information has been updated. Let's check the database. You see, password change to Java guy, full name change to zone gym, and email change to zonegym@gmail.com. Very good, right? So that's how to write Java code with JDBC to update information, update data of a table in the database. Next, you will learn how to write Java code to delete data from the database by executing the SQL delete statement. For example, this SQL delete statement delete from user where username equal question mark to remove a row from the table users that match the condition username equal to a specific value. Now let's write code. Change the SQL statement to delete from users where username equal to a specific value. We still use a prepare statement, and we set the value for the parameter username. So that means we are going to delete the row for the containing the information of the user zondo, and use the same method execute update. The user information has been deleted. So that's very simple for delete statement. Now let's run this program. we got an error here. Let's see. Table user doesn't exist. Sorry, the user table name should be users. Sorry. Okay, run this program again. You see, the user's information has been deleted. Let's check in the database. Yeah, you see now we have two rows here. Now let's execute the select statement again. And you see one row has been deleted. It's very good, right? So that's how to write code to remove some data from the database with JDBC. And that's the video tutorial Java Database Connectivity JDBC CRUD tutorial that in which you will have learned how to write Java code to execute SQL statements to insert data, to retrieve data, to update data, to delete data from the database. And I hope you found this video tutorial helpful. Thank you for watching.